So the Texas Republican Dan Crenshaw, the California Democrat Ro Khanna, recently filed a bill for the FDA to issue guidance regarding the use of psychedelics. 2 days later, the FDA did just that, saying, quote, psychedelic drugs show initial promise as potential treatments for mood, anxiety, and substance use disorders. However, these are still investigational products. Now, psychedelics are powerful psychoactive substances that can alter your perception and mood. In his NewsNation town hall last night, RFK Jr. gave his support.
I would legalize psychedelic drugs. I've read the studies, and there's so many people being helped in different ways by them, and we have to make it easier, maybe to prescribe them, to give them through therapeutically. I'm not saying blanket legalization, but we need to make it easy for psychiatrists and therapists who are trained to be able to use this on their patients.
You got members of Congress, a 39 and a 46-year-old Democrat and Republican talking about this, presidential candidate talking about this. Is RFK Jr. onto something here?
He could be. I mean, listen, you couldn't have cannabis years ago. You couldn't gamble on sports. In some ways, this country is becoming a little bit more libertarian. Obviously, this needs more study. The brain is the most important organ, but we don't know much about it. And obviously, as RFK Jr. said, different people have different things, but this is not going to be legal tomorrow. I mean, there's got to be studied.
You say that like, you're a veteran of the Iraq War, and you know a lot of folks who are microdosing psychedelics as part of their treatment to combat PTSD, or try to.
And the Department of Veterans Affairs is actually doing studies on this. There are 5 studies that they've conducted to look at the therapeutic and healing processes that go into using psychedelics to help veterans that are experiencing extreme PTSD and mental health issues. So there are some really interesting cases to be made for the use of it, but I do think, as we discussed a little while ago, that we should make sure that it's under the care of a physician, of course.
What folks who you talk to, what are they telling you about it?
They're telling me that it's really helpful. It's, it triggers the brain to move in a different direction that allows for that healing process to take place and for people to be able to process trauma. And when you look at veterans who have experienced some of the most significant trauma that anyone in this country could imagine, anything that helps get them to a better place, I think, is a win.
Adult usage, ages 19 to 30, where this was in 2011, so a dozen years ago, was used by 3% of basically post-teens into 30. That number has now nearly tripled to almost 8%. Sean, we got Democrats talking about this, Republicans talking about this. Could this become like a bipartisan thing? There's a PAC here in Washington trying to raise $10 million for awareness.
Yeah, look, I don't think this is a partisan issue, but I do think that we've got to be real slow with this. I think we rolled out marijuana way too quick. And I think we're paying the consequences, just overall. And now, there's literally not a city that you can't go into where it smells like a big, a bunch of marijuana. I just think that we've got to be very careful when you're talking about psychedelics. It's a very different category of drug, and I think that, to talk about it from a medical perspective is one thing. Any talk of recreation to me is just a no-go.
All right. Well, one of the best things about being on the Hill every day is the view of the Capitol Dome. So take a look at this. We asked a very talented local sketch artist, R.F. Grady, to draw his view of the dome to showcase just outside of the studio door here in our green room. Pretty cool. You can see more of this special piece, some of its hidden details as well, by joining us on the Hill on all of our social media platforms.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.